Like Dominica said, I am Amber with ABC of Alaska. I am the Director of Apprenticeship here. We have a what's called a multi-sponsor apprenticeship program and we were registered through the Federal Department of Labor. Just a little history about ABC itself. ABC is obviously a national corporation and founded in 1950, many years ago, which they based on the merit shop philosophy, indicating that contractors should be awarded contracts should be awarded to the most responsive bidder based on safety, quality, and price, whether they choose to be union or open shop. So we welcome everybody here. It's basically what that means. ABC Alaska was actually started in 1998. A bunch of contractors got together, and the initial idea was to start their own apprenticeship program. And then they got hooked up with ABC National and became an official chapter in 2000. Currently, we have 143 member companies, and they range from owners, contractors, suppliers, and associates all over the state of Alaska. And they range from small to large corporations. Of those companies, currently right now, we have 97 of them that are participating in the apprenticeship program. So they are actively employing our apprentices around the state of Alaska. So like I said earlier, ABC of Alaska is a federally registered apprenticeship program. We provide apprenticeship training and on-the-job training, as well as related training instruction, which is book work, fancy term for book work, to the apprentices. We are a self-study course. So the advantages of going through our program versus, say, going to college. Obviously, they get their education from qualified instructors or their journeymen they're working with on a daily basis. They are assigned to a journeyman. It's a 1-to-1 ratio requirement. So there's nobody basically left behind. They're not kind of left in a corner doing their own thing. There's a journeyman that is with them 100% of the time, making sure that they are accomplishing the tasks that they're supposed to be accomplishing and learning. Taking the academic education or the book work along with the hands-on portion of their training really helps to give them an advantage as they go through our program and move into other career fields. Going through an apprenticeship like ours is a major advantage because there's no downtime. So they don't have to go through and sit in class for a certain amount of months during a year. We are a self-study course, so we are basically a remote learning. The students are required to complete so many assignments or tests during a month, but it's a self-paced, and they are actually doing their book work in the communities that they are working in and living in. All right, so some of the careers that we offer are listed here. We recently added roofing program this last year, and then we are also working on a telecom program. We started that last year, but we just haven't kind of moved on with that yet. But the roofing program was successful. We only had one roofing company in Fairbanks, and they were using it. So we hope that it takes off a little bit more here in the next couple of years. So our apprentices, like I said earlier, are all over the state of Alaska. They are working in either small communities or they are working, say, up on the slope. Some of the larger companies I have listed here, and then our smaller communities include places like Barrow, Dutch Harbor, Valdez, Kaufman Cove, Homer, and Kotzebue. So going through what an apprentice has to do or an applicant has to do to actually get into the program. So they start out, they have to fill out their application, get all of the items that are required as for a federally registered program, get those turned in, they submit it to the ABC office here. They'll go through an interview process with a panel of our contractors that are on a committee. They'll do an interview. They go through that and they're put in basically an applicant waiting status, and they're given a ranking. They then can actually begin a job search for themselves. Or when my member companies need apprentices, I will send them a batch of resumes based on the criteria that they are looking for. And if those applicants match that criteria, then their resume could potentially be in that group. Okay. After that, they'll go through, and if they haven't already secured a position themselves, they'll go through an interview process with the new member company that potentially might hire them. Then they're enrolled in the program and they start their book work and doing their tests monthly, turning in their work reports regularly, and then they get to completion. The majority of our programs are 4 years. Just because like electrical and plumbing, those are licensed programs, and they're required to get so many hours to get to that licensing point to receive their certificate of fitness through the state of Alaska. If you have any specific questions about the other programs that we have and how long those are, I can answer those after. This slide here just gives you a quick rundown of what our apprenticeship enrollment is right now. We have grown exponentially in the last couple of years with the amount of people that are coming into the program. I think a lot of that might have to do with some of the money that is being funded to Alaska, especially for the North Slope. Those companies are really hiring a lot right now, which is good, but it's a lot of work for us. And this slide here just gives you an idea of the number of how things are broken out. Obviously, electrical and plumbing are higher because they are licensed. You have to be licensed in the state of Alaska for those with a certificate of fitness. And in order for them to do that, they have to be registered in an apprenticeship program. So, like I said earlier, we stand apart in the fact that our program is we're more self-study. We do have some students or apprentices that come in here and do some things and when they're going through the program, but the majority of everybody that going through the program is all in their community, and they are actually doing hands-on work with the companies that they are working with there, and then they are doing their book work on their own and accomplishing it dramatically as they go through the program. One of the things that is special about us is that our enrollment process is open year-round. We don't only open it for a certain number of months through the year. We accept applications every single day. We do interviews every single week, which is an advantage for a lot of people that want to go into the trade, and then also want to start everything right away. They don't have to wait, 2 years before they finally get picked up or put into the apprenticeship program. All right. Okay. I think that is all I have.
Thank you, Amber. We see, okay, we just missed that slide. It was slightly delayed, the final slide, but that's no worries. Thank you so much. I have a question about apprentices. Do they get moved from employer to employer whenever there's a need, or do they stay with one employer?
The majority of our apprentices stay with an employer for a certain amount of time. It's not like it's not like you're dispatched out every single day to a specific job. When you're hired with a company, the intent is for you to stay with that company and learn what you need to learn for that duration. It could be a number of years. It could be like project based.
I see. Thank you. And that new roofing program, how long is it? How long is the apprenticeship program for the roofing?
That one is 2 years.
2 years, okay. Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Amber since we have her on the call? I don't see any questions, Amber, so I shared the link to your revamped website that I can also finally access. Hooray. And also to the under apprenticeship tab for applicants, if individuals on the call are interested, have some individuals they work with who would be interested in applying at ABC of Alaska. That is the process. There's a $50 application fee, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The veterans do not pay the $50 fee.
Mm-hmm. And one more question about some assistance, financial assistance for individuals who don't have the tools that they may need or work boots and work attire. Is that something that you are able to help with, or would they need to look for financial assistance, for instance, with the Department of Labor?
So we provide some financial assistance here as far as our curriculum, so our books are all paid for the
Okay, great.
apprentices. The PPE that we provide to our apprentices, as well as our safety training, is all provided free. If they want a tool grant, at this point, we're still sending them to the job centers to apply for that step funding through them. We recently received additional funding on our side to help pay for the certificate of fitnesses for the fee for the plumbers and the electricians, which is a $250 fee. I mean, then for somebody first starting out, $250 is a little, that could be quite a bit of money. So that really helps people.
Absolutely. And on average, are you able to tell us if someone applies? I know they are put on the list, but so if I were to go today and apply, what would be the time on average before I am put on to work?
That kind of depends. It depends on the initiative of the person. So if there is somebody that applies to the program and really, is gung-ho and that's what they want to do, they will actually actively go and search out employment. We give them access to our member handbook, and they can, go to those different websites, provide their resume, apply to some of those larger companies have their applications online already, so they go through that process. Those people that are really gung-ho and they want to get going right away, they'll get hired probably in the first 3 weeks.
Awesome.
3 to 4 weeks. The enrollment process takes about a week and a half or so, because we have to get notification from the company that they're hiring that person, and then they'll go through their enrollment process. They have to sign all their documents here, and then they'll get their first book, and we'll just kind of go through all the instructions on how to do all of that. And then they go straight to work. For those that maybe aren't quite as gung-ho and just kind of wait for me to send their resume to our member companies, those guys probably take about closer to 6 to maybe 9 months sometimes.
Okay. Thank you. And if I am an employer who is interested in becoming a member, how long does this process? And you're still actively accepting employers into your your organization, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes, we're always accepting employers because we want to keep the people that are here, that apprentices that are here working. So if one project ends at one company and they have the ability to move to another company and do that project and work with that company and gain different knowledge, more knowledge, then that's what we want to see happen. We don't like to see somebody pigeonholed into one type of not type of training. So if they go and do strictly industrial work up on the slope, a lot of times what happens is that those guys, if they come back to town and they say they want to work in town at a commercial or a residential company, it's difficult for them to transition. They don't know necessarily the code and on that side of things. So I encourage, unless they know that all they want to do is industrial work and all they want to do for the rest of their life is work on the slope, I encourage them to move around a little bit during their 8,000 hours. It's 4 to 5 years roughly. I encourage them to move around a little bit to the different companies that will provide that range of education. So, they have the ability to move themselves. We require them to obviously give 2 weeks notice if they are planning to leave a company. But other than that, we're not strict in the sense that we require them to stay with somebody or move to where we tell them to.
And so
and then as far as
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. There must be a little bit of a lag. Participating employers, if somebody wants to join, it takes maybe a week, as long as all the documents are filled out. They have to be a member of ABC of Alaska to be a participating employer with the apprenticeship program.
And if your apprentice, for instance, second-year electrical apprentice, now decided to go with IBEW or switched from ABC of Alaska to another employer that is not a participating employer, not a member of ABC of Alaska, but that other employer has an approved registered apprenticeship program. Do you is this something, do they lose all their work that they've completed so far through you, or is it transferable?
For us, it's transferable. So especially when you're moving from us to, say, an individual employer, so they would have their own apprenticeship program. We just provide a transcript, and then the employer hours are gathered by the apprentice. They have to be gathered by the apprentice, unfortunately. I can't do that. Especially if it's an electrical or plumber, they have to provide a specific form through the state of Alaska for those hours, but we can provide them a transcript of their bookwork and the accumulated hours. And those are generally transferable over directly, because everybody that runs an apprenticeship program in the state of Alaska has to be federally registered. So we're all held to the same requirements. The IBEW sometimes has a little bit of issue transferring hours, and I don't really know why that is. Now, if they come from the IBEW to us, we take whatever they've earned and whatever they've done in their schooling, we take it and we transfer it over direct.
Well, that's good to know, certainly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not gonna, but
I have Nick, he's sharing, let's see. Do you have access to the chat box, Amber?
I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, so if he wants to, did he do welding at ACAC down in Seward? Okay, so any welding that he did there, I can take the bookwork. Obviously, he won't have any hours because it was, in an actual trade school. The one company that I do have welding with is ASRC, and we can help place him there. So he would have to basically go through the application process. And then we can help him get placed with the one welding company that we have.
So to make it clear, if when an individual graduates from ACPE with a certificate of completion from ACPE, you do not give them any hours for that time at ACPE as if it was on the job training. You do not have that, or do you?
So they would only be considered book work. Yeah.
Okay.
I can take any school work, any related training instruction, which is book work. I can take that and transfer it here, give them credit for all of that. Then they would just have to earn their hours.
On the job. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, perfect. Please make sure to connect with Amber if you have students who are interested in the apprenticeship program at ABC of Alaska. Yep, Amber has shared her email. Thank you, Amber. And thank you so much. If we don't have any other questions, thank you for joining us today, Amber. I appreciate you as always. And
Thank you.
let's be in touch. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.